You have nothing left to give, and this guy's trying to murder you.
Jake Paul did. He's trying to survive. He's not trying to engage. And so therefore, it's your job to cut him down and catch him up.
Go.
You've been looking at
yourself.
Wait, what?
He told me he wanted to raise $40 million.
Logan Paul sues Anthony Joshua after Jake Paul becomes crippled has sent shockwaves through the boxing world. This isn't just another YouTube feud escalating. Joshua's devastating knockout left Jake Paul seriously injured, and now Logan is taking legal action. Fans and analysts alike are buzzing over the implications, questioning how this will impact Jake's career, Joshua's reputation, and the broader crossover boxing landscape.
There's no worse feeling in the world. It's horrible. You can't rationalize.
Anthony Joshua humiliates Logan Paul and Jake Paul as their lawsuit threats fall flat after Jake's jaw-crushing defeat. Joshua doesn't need courts to prove dominance. His fists already did. Logan's attempts to play the tough guy online are exposed as empty bravado, and Jake's broken jaw serves as a brutal reminder that YouTube hype can never match real boxing skill.
Dando de, oh, él es esto, él es aquello, él es, dije, pero ¿por qué te preocupas por lo que ha hecho alguien más? ¿Qué has hecho tú como luchador para aumentar tu ego? Pero no pudiste responder.
Johnny Nelson highlights Jake Paul's limitations. All his past fights didn't challenge him or develop his skills. Facing Anthony Joshua was the wake-up call the boxing world expected. Joshua didn't just win, he exposed the massive gap between a real heavyweight champion and a YouTube fighter, leaving Jake humiliated and questioning the value of his previous career.
Anything for his career, for his bank account, everything, for his development. I don't think he did anything for his development because he didn't have somebody in front of him that wanted to test his development.
Duke McKenzie exposes Logan Paul for his pathetic attempt at boxing. Everyone saw he was completely outclassed, and his antics didn't help. Trying to step into the ring was laughable. Logan's stunt-like behavior is exactly why the boxing world sees him as a YouTube clown, a Cootie Wally move with zero respect for real fighters.
They said, and everybody knows, he's not a real boxer. There's levels to this game, and he was way out of his level, way out of his depth.
Eddie Hearn calls out Logan Paul for his reckless and childish actions. Even before the fight, his moves reeked of YouTube theatrics, not boxing. It's clear the whole stunt was designed to create noise, but in reality, it only highlights how far he is from being a legitimate fighter, a true Cootie Wally performance.
It is, what was it, about an hour ago, so I guess everything's calmed down a little bit. I thought it was a bitch move, if I'm honest, because anytime
Logan Paul's brag backfires completely. Boasting about Jake's broken jaw only makes him look foolish and desperate. His attempts to play tough are exposed as childish antics, earning him the Cootie Wally label from fans. Joshua didn't just win, he humiliated both brothers, proving YouTube hype can't compete with real boxing power and discipline.
But I just pissed him off. Then he broke my brother's jaw. Fuck. His jaw, huh? Yeah, he split his jaw. Yeah? You don't care though. Jake's having a fucking blast.
Carl Froch slams Jake Paul for turning boxing into a circus. His 6-round exaggerations and antics show he doesn't belong in the professional arena. This isn't just hype, it's proof that YouTube fighters create a joke world. Joshua dismantled him in real time, leaving Jake humiliated and questioning his place in the sport.
Fabio Wardley now has won the fight fair and square because that's the decision, that's the referee's final decision. Wardley wins the fight. He is now mandatory for Alexander Usyk. What is he going to do against Alexander Usyk? Where do we go from here? Alexander Usyk, the undisputed heavy.
Jake Paul admits his defeat after Joshua's brutal knockout. His broken jaw is a literal and figurative statement. YouTube hype can't compete with elite boxing. Joshua didn't just win, he humiliated Jake, proving the limits of social media fighters. Fans witnessed a harsh reality check that Jake's theatrics couldn't mask.
Broken, by the way, so yeah, let's go. It's definitely broke, but man, that was good. Nice little ass whooping from one of the best to ever do it. So
Adam Smith highlights the absurdity of the situation. Watching Logan and Jake Paul step into the ring against elite fighters is a gray area at best. Social media fame doesn't translate into skill or ring IQ. Joshua dismantled Jake so decisively that it proves some battles should never happen. Fans are left questioning the legitimacy of YouTube fighters in professional boxing.
It just shouldn't happen, but we don't know. As with all these things, there's always a grey area, isn't there? But
Johnny Nelson emphasizes the reality check Jake Paul received. Joshua didn't just win, he humiliated Jake by proving the massive skill gap. Jake's own admission, "I was shattered," shows how unprepared he was. This fight exposed the limits of YouTube boxing and reminded fans why real training, discipline, and experience are what separate champions from internet personalities.
You've got to make this kid have a reality check. And that's what he actually did, because Jake Paul himself said, I was shattered. You know, this guy, everything I thought I could do.
Simon Jordan breaks down the broader picture. While Jake Paul continues to generate content and hype, Joshua proved the stark difference between showmanship and skill. Everyone except Jake and Logan learned a hard lesson. This fight wasn't just entertainment. It exposed the truth about YouTube fighters and reinforced why Anthony Joshua remains a top-tier heavyweight in every meaningful sense.
Boxer. Netflix have got some wonderful content, and Jake Paul runs around doing what Jake Paul does. So everybody wins, and only the people that don't win are the people that go, well, look at, and even the people that think Anthony Joshua is a busted flush now go, well, that proves the.
Analyst observes Jake Paul's defensive strategy. He spent more time running and grappling than actually fighting. Joshua's dominance forced Jake into survival mode, constantly retreating and relying on desperate moves. This fight highlighted the massive gap in experience and power. Fans saw a complete mismatch, with Jake humiliated in front of millions, proving YouTube fighters can't compete at this level.
Just run, but generally, you know, the game plan was to run a lot, hold whenever he had to. He dropped his knees for a fucking takedown quite a lot.
Duke McKenzie doesn't hold back. Joshua's performance wasn't just a win, it was a brutal lesson for Jake Paul. That broken jaw symbolizes the gap between internet fame and real boxing skill. Logan Paul can only watch helplessly while his brother lies humbled. The Paul brothers were made to look like amateurs, exposed in front of millions, and it's clear that trying to compete with a world-class heavyweight was pure delusion. Joshua delivered a masterclass, proving why hype alone cannot replace preparation, experience, and raw power.
Anthony Joshua did that too, because now he won't be able to talk like he does for a while. He won't have to listen.
Chael Shannon is spot on. Joshua versus Paul was an absolute sporting mismatch. This wasn't just about betting odds, it was a fight that showcased the huge gap between hype and reality. Jake Paul's skill and experience were no match for Anthony Joshua. Fans watched a world-class heavyweight completely dominate a YouTube fighter who was just trying to survive. Some people believed it might be scripted, that it was entertainment, but the truth was brutally clear. This was real boxing. Joshua's size, power, and precision made the gap obvious with every punch. Every jab, every combination reminded the audience why Joshua is at the top of the division. This fight wasn't just a win, it was a statement, a reminder that elite level boxing and internet fame exist in completely different worlds. For Jake Paul, this was a harsh lesson, and for fans, it was both shocking and mesmerizing.
Joshua versus Paul, this is silly. This is the sporting mismatch of my lifetime. The odds don't reflect that. There's a big gap, but it's not the most mismatched betting line in the history of sports. And the reason for that is not because there's a secret underground belief in Jake Paul's boxing. It's because there's a segment of the public that believes that this is a work, that this is scripted, that this is entertainment, that this is wrestling. I'm very confident those people are wrong. I'm just sharing with you that that is why you don't have 20,000 to 1 odds, which is what this match truly is.
Duke McKenzie couldn't have summed it up better. Jake Paul simply couldn't cope with Anthony Joshua. Every time Jake got close, Joshua's size and power completely overpowered him, and on multiple occasions he fell without even being hit. This wasn't clumsiness, it was a stark reality check. Joshua's strength, skill, and ring IQ left Jake completely exposed. Fans watching were left in disbelief, seeing the gap between a true world-class athlete and a YouTube fighter. Social media exploded with reactions as everyone commented on Joshua's dominance and Jake's struggle. The mismatch wasn't just physical, it was technical, mental, and strategic. Every failed attempt by Jake to land a meaningful punch highlighted the massive gulf in skill. For viewers, it was shocking, fascinating, and brutal to watch at the same time. Joshua's performance made it clear that elite boxing and entertainment hype are worlds apart, and Jake learned that lesson the hard way.
So once or twice he fell to the floor without being hit, because Anthony Joshua was just so much bigger than him, and he couldn't cope with anything really. Couldn't cope with Anthony Joshua's jab. He couldn't cope with the size difference. couldn't cope ultimately with the power.
Eddie Hearn nailed it. Joshua landed 4 or 5 flush punches on Jake Paul early in the first round, and Jake didn't even flinch. That wasn't just courage, it was an absolute display of domination. The sheer precision, timing, and raw power of Joshua was on full display. Fans everywhere were in shock, posting reactions on social media, unable to believe what they were witnessing. Joshua's calm composure contrasted perfectly with Jake's overconfidence and hype. This wasn't merely a victory, it was a statement that Anthony Joshua is the #1 heavyweight in the world. Every punch reinforced the gap between a world-class athlete and a social media star. Jake's hype and bravado crumbled under Joshua's relentless assault. This fight served as a masterclass in power, skill, and ring intelligence, leaving fans awestruck while highlighting just how far behind Jake really was.
Him 4 or 5 times early in the first round, flush, didn't even flinch. You see that tonight? That was an absolute abomination, if that is even a word, because that is a monster. The #1 heavyweight in the world. He gets in the ring with
Ariel Helwani perfectly captured it. Joshua's reach, power, and timing were terrifying. Every punch he threw carried a real threat of ending the fight, and fans could feel the tension in the arena and across social media. Jake Paul winced at every strike, knowing he couldn't match the sheer physicality and technique in front of him. Joshua's right hand and left hook were weapons, and Jake had no way to defend or counter effectively. This fight wasn't just a contest, it was a brutal reminder of the difference between elite athletes and YouTube stars. Joshua's precision, speed, and dominance turned the fight into a spectacle, with fans both terrified and mesmerized. Every jab and hook reinforced why he's at the top of the heavyweight division. It was unforgettable, intense, and a harsh lesson for Jake Paul, showing the world that real boxing leaves no room for hype or bravado.